Let's understand the primary key. Let's create a create table comments, for example. So we want to create a comments table. And if you think about comments inside of a database, every single comment would need an ID or something unique about the comment to uniquely identify the comment. And in order to uniquely identify something, you usually use an ID. So again, we're going to say we want to have an ID, for example. For this ID, what would make sense to uniquely identify something? You could obviously use a string, for example, like this, or a boolean, which would make absolutely no sense because then you would have actually two values to uniquely identify something. So as you've probably guessed, you're usually using an integer, but you can also say, okay, we want to use a big int, for example. And if you think about comments, it might actually even make sense to use a big int because you might end up with so many comments in the database. So if you think about Instagram, using a big int might make sense because they probably have millions or billions of comments. After the data type, you usually can also say that you want to use unsigned because you usually don't want negative IDs. Then if you create a primary key, it's common to use auto underline increment to let the database auto increment the value for every generated comment or user or whatever. So this means you don't have to do anything and the database will basically go from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 and every new comment will get a higher number. And to declare a column as a primary key, you're going to use the primary key keyword. And this tells the database this ID should be used as the primary key to identify a comment inside of the database. So if you're searching for a comment later on, for example, you know that there's a comment with an ID of 0, a comment with an ID of 1, a comment with an ID of 2, and so on. Obviously, if you delete comments, there might not be a comment with an ID of 1, but this is the principle of how it works.